Recording has started. So welcome. My name is Chris Rodgers. I'm the Instructional Design Coordinator for the SDCCD Online Learning Pathways. And today is a Canvas Basics workshop. We're going to go over a workflow on how to properly set up your Canvas course shell that starts off with a development shell and goes all the way to copying your course content to an official course shell. Let me share my screen real quick. So as just for workshop purposes, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the College Flex number is for the College Flex, so you can get Flex credit is 16201. And then we've already done for attendance purposes, you've entered your full name, campus you work for, along with your district email address in the chat. And then later on, there is a post survey link that I'd like for you to fill out. It's at bit.ly/SDCCD PWS, and I'll enter that in at the end of the workshop. Again, my name is Chris Rodgers. Again, I work for the SDCCD Online Learning Pathways. I'm an Instructional Design Coordinator. Our website, which I will go to in a second, is sdccd.edu/online. And then my email address, feel free to email me with any questions you have with Canvas. It's C as in Chris, Rodgers with a D. Always include the D. Everybody leaves that out. It's RODGERS@sdccd.edu. And I'll bring this up later for new people that come. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and bring up a browser. And let's go first with our website. So we always want to make sure the website that we have, and excuse me, this Zoom toolbar keeps getting in the way. Let me move that out of the way real quick. And our website, the short address, as I wrote in the notes earlier, is sdccd.edu/online. I recommend you keep this in your bookmarks, in your notes, because this is a place where you can get all the latest updates and information regarding Canvas as it relates to you as a faculty member, as well as a student as well. You can become familiar with the student information and what's available to students. But as you get to this site, you can go through and you'll see Online Learning Pathways in the left-hand course menu, and then you can click on Faculty. And throughout the presentation, there are a couple things that I will mention here that are important for you to look at in relation to this workshop. Going in, as I mentioned before, this is a basic workshop on how to get everything started to properly create your course content for a show, for your Canvas course. One of the important things you want to practice is adopting a Canvas development shell. What is a Canvas development shell? A Canvas development shell is a shell that's not connected to anything like PeopleSoft. So any of the official courses that you teach within Canvas is connected to PeopleSoft, because PeopleSoft is the controlling database for Canvas that controls the entire schedule from the instructor of record for the course, including student enrollments. And every 4 hours every day, PeopleSoft uploads that information to Canvas and it creates the official course shell. Now, having an official course shell connected to Canvas, or having the official Canvas being, or PeopleSoft, excuse me, having PeopleSoft being the official database for Canvas can cause some issues with faculty members, because the scheduling classes get canceled and created all the time. And I've had classes canceled before in the past where instructors have lost important coursework. We don't want you to have that happen to you. So we sit there and create a Canvas development shell, and this shell is not connected to anything. It will never be deleted, and it will always be yours to use for backup purposes. So how do you create a Canvas development shell? You can contact Canvas faculty support by clicking on the help menu button. And you'll see the Canvas support hotline. And the Canvas support hotline is at 1-844-612-7422. And you also have a Canvas chat where you can contact Canvas chat for Canvas support. Keep in mind, these numbers are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you have any issues regarding any issues that you're having with Canvas, please feel free to either call or use the chat. But when you call the Canvas support hotline, you can also request for a Canvas development shell. So if you call or use the chat and you speak to a representative, tell them you specifically want a Canvas development shell, use those words, and they will create one for you. I see you have Bonnie Rosecliffe. Welcome to our workshop. We're going over some Canvas basics.
Thank you.
Real quick, Bonnie, let me bring this up real quick. What campus do you work for, Bonnie?
Mesa College.
Mesa College. Okay, just to keep in mind, and I will bring this up later at the end of the workshop as well. The college flex number for Mesa College is 16201, so you can get flex credit for attending this workshop. Also, for attendance purposes and to validate this, using this flex number for attendance, if you could do me a favor, Bonnie, and in the Canvas chat, enter in your full name, the campus you work for, along with a district email address. If you could do that for
Sure.
me, it'd be greatly appreciated. And then I just want to check, we have one more attendance. I believe Mary is there. Okay. So Bonnie, real quickly, what I was talking about as we're getting started. So again, as you saw on the schedule, we're talking about Canvas basics and how to set up a Canvas course shell. And I'm going through the entire workflow process from the request and creation of a Canvas development shell, setting up your course content, and then copying that content over to an official course shell. And a Canvas development shell is just basically a shell that's not connected to any scheduling system like PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft is the controlling database for Canvas. And with schedulers and at the beginning of the semester, courses are canceled every time. And I've seen faculty members create their course content in their official course shells and then they lose it because their course was canceled by a scheduler at your related campus. And so a Canvas development shell is not connected to anything. And we recommend that you create all of your course content, the content that you need to create in your Canvas development shell as a backup first. And then you would copy that content over into an official course shell. And to request a Canvas development shell, you can either contact the Canvas support hotline for faculty at 1-844-612-7422, or you can talk with Canvas chat. And I accessed that by clicking on, in the global navigation, I clicked on help, and then you have faculty and support right there. Does that make sense, anyone? Does anyone have any questions about that in a Canvas development shell and why we recommend it?
Is there any limit to how many shells we can have?
No, you can have unlimited shells, but Frederick, if you're going to call Canvas support, they will create up to at least one shell at a time because it's a support service and they're having calls constantly come in. If you want, Frederick, if you want to create a Canvas development shell, let's say you want to have 5 Canvas development shells and you want to put that request in, then just go ahead and send me an email and I will create it for you. But if you just have one Canvas development shell that you want to create, you use the Canvas support.
Well, I teach courses of different lengths. 8-week, 12-week, 16-week.
Yes.
So it'd be helpful to have, development shell for each type of course.
Yes, and that's what we highly recommend. And so if you have a request for, let's say you said an 8-week, 12-week, 16-week, if you have, when you make your request, you can go ahead, email me. So that's crodgers@sdccd.edu. And when you make your development shell request, you're going to give me your 10-digit employee ID, 10-digit employee, EMPLOY, MPO,
Right.
right? ID, the campus you work for, and then the course prefix for the course you are teaching prefix. So i.e. that would be ENGL 100, something like that. So when you're making your development shell request, if you're doing more than one development shell, let's say you need, more than three requests, just go ahead and send this information to me. And then I will go ahead and process that request for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions before we move on? No. Okay, great. Let me get a drink of water. Now, once you have your development shell created, there's one important thing that we need to go over, and that's the navigation. So we have the course navigation. I'm sure if you've used Canvas before, you've seen the course navigation on the left-hand side. It's home, announcements. This is everything as far as what your students are going to interact with. And you'll notice there's certain I's that are crossed out. These are certain things that students cannot see. It's either hidden from the instructor's hidden it by choice, or there's no content. So for example, with the announcements, the reason why you can't, a student will not see the announcements is because there's no announcements made. How can I prove this to you? I can prove this to you by using the student view button, which is located in the top right-hand corner of the browser. Highly recommend you use this. So in the student view button, you look at, see how drastically the Canvas menu has changed and that announcements disappeared because there's no announcements there. And we're going to change that eventually, but I just want to I want you to show you as an instructor, what you see here in this course menu is not necessarily what the students will see. So as you're doing your work in your Canvas development shell, always go through, and when you make a specific change, click on the student view and see what it looks like. And let's take a look at this and let's be mindful of this, because we're going to be working on this menu to make it more presentable for students. And you'll see there's grades, people, pages, files, syllabus, collaborations, Google Drive, Zoom, Office 365. Some stuff makes sense. Other things I guarantee are going to confuse students. So let's go ahead and fix that right now. So I'm going to click on, in the bottom bottom right-hand corner, I'm clicking on Leave Student View. And in the Canvas course menu, I'm going to click on Settings. And then at the very top, I'm going to click on Navigation. Also, as I'm going through this process, don't be too concerned about taking notes. There's certain things that I will tell you that you should write down, but this is being recorded. And once the recording is done and processed, I will make sure if you leave your email address in the chat, you will get a copy of this recording so you can watch it at your own convenience. So getting back on track, we have our course menu. We want to make it change because there's a certain format that a best practice on how to present your course menu to students that will make it a lot easier for you. So to change and modify what displays here in the course menu, we go into Settings, Navigation. Now, looking at this menu, you're going to see two items here. You're going to see a top box and you're going to see a bottom box. The top box is what students see. The bottom box is items that you do not want students to see, or items you want to hide from students. Okay. Now there are several items. If you're going to write anything down, write this down, that you want in your course menu. That's home, announcements, syllabus, modules, and then grades. Home, that's the home page. That's where students start. That's where we were just on before. The announcements that you make for your class. The syllabus is where you will post your syllabus. And you have modules. Modules is where your entire course will be conducted. Okay, the modules is a great way for you, how you control your content, how it's presented to students. And that's where they will complete all of their reading assignments, the actual assignments, papers, maybe essays they need to write, quizzes and discussions. And then you have grades. Now, this is very important. This is another thing that I want you to write down. There are 5 items that you will not, and I repeat, you will not include in your course menu because it will confuse students. And I will show you why in a minute. And those items are files, assignments, discussions, and then quizzes. So files, assignments, discussions, and then quizzes, and then pages too. These are the elements that you do not want to include. So to remove these from the top menu, I'm going to drag these items to the bottom box. So I'm going to say files, assignments, discussions, and then quizzes, and then pages. Now you have some other items here. As you grow in experience with Canvas, there are some items that you might want to include. However, we always recommend to keep the menu as short as possible. The longer the course menu goes, the much harder it will be for students, and you can confuse them if you include too many items. But for example, you might want to, if you use Zoom a lot for your classes, you might want to include Zoom. Office 365 has been integrated into Canvas. You might want to connect with that. Or if you use Google Drive, you might want to use that. But in the beginning, as you're starting out with Canvas, the only elements that you really need are home, announcement, syllabus, modules, and grades. So I'm going to move these items out. And drag these items down so that we have a clean menu. And
Hello.
Yes.
Why do we move assignments out? That's how my students submit their papers.
All of your assignments should be submitted through modules, and I'll explain to you why I recommend hiding the assignments from the course menu in 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So click on Save. So as you notice how everything has changed. Now, home, announcements, and modules you won't see because, again, there's no content, but everything else is hidden from view. Again, everything, including assignments, quizzes, and discussion, should be done through the modules. And as I mentioned to Bonnie, I will address that in a second. But now that we made a change, I want to click on Home. And I want to click on Student View because I always want to check my work and make sure that it's good to go. So right now, home, syllabus, grades, that's all we see. But let me just go ahead and create a quick announcement. So if I just create a quick announcement. Hello, world. Publish. You now see that little eye icon disappears. And then if I go into student view, you will see now that appears. Now, if I wanted to just do something with the quick modules, I'm going to go into modules in more detail in a second. But let me just go ahead and just create a quick module. And then we'll publish that. That should be enough, or unless, let me just create a quick page. And then we'll just say create page. Hello world. This is just for demonstration purposes. This does not benefit your course in any way, but I just want to see how it shows up in the course menu. So that's published. So if we refresh the page now, you will see the modules has disappeared. And then if I go into the student view, now I have home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades. Okay. Clean everything else. Now, why do I sit here and say and recommend this? Going back to Blackboard, if you were here back in 2018, before we switched to Canvas, we were using Blackboard. Blackboard allowed you to create anything you wanted in the course menu. Now, I've seen course menu items from instructors that were 25 items long, and I'm not exaggerating. They included everything but the kitchen sink in their course menu, right? But here's the problem that had, and that had a major effect on attendance with online courses. For example, Frederick is a philosophy teacher.
Psychology.
Psychology. I apologize. Forgive me.
All right.
And let's say he has an existing setup. Now, as a new person to a college, maybe I am an ESL student or an adult reentry student, and I'm not familiar with Canvas. I take a philosophy class from Frederick. He's the first class that I take, and he has a unique system in how he sets up his announcements, his course menu. And then I go into Bonnie's class, and I see a completely different course menu item here. So as somebody that's, first introduction to Canvas, Frederick's class is the first exposure of what I see, and then I see something totally different. And then I go into Gloria's class and I see a menu item that's totally different. As a student who is not familiar with Canvas, it's going to get kind of confusing because Canvas changes all the time because the course menu items are not consistent enough. That's why we recommend this. If each one of you adopt this simple structure and include only these items, home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades, these are the only items that you need. I won't be, as a student, I won't get confused going from Frederick's course to Bonnie's course to Gloria's course, because it will be consistent all around. And that will, I guarantee, will help increase retention. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Now, let's give some more clear-cut examples of why I sit here and recommend this and why I do not recommend including the pages, files, assignments, discussions, and other things, and quizzes too. I'm going to go into our online faculty certification program. That is the course, if you want to officially teach as an online instructor, you need to teach this to become certified. Now, going through this, looking through the student view, as you can sit there and see, we have that practice, home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades. And then we offer Office 365 because that's something that we're trying to work and experiment with as far as integration. So we're kind of using that for our own educational purposes. Let me break down the actual module section here. And we're going to be going over on how to create an outline. So let's look at this module 4 here. Module 4 is broken up into specific items. And each content item is labeled with a specific number. That number is there for a reason. So obviously, the first number within this numbering convention is related to the actual module itself. And then the second number, the dot right after the dot, so 4.0, is just a number in location of where this item is placed on this list. Why do we have this number here? Number 1 is for organizational purposes. I'll show you in a minute why. Number 2, it's for communication. So Frederick, as a philosophy instructor, if I'm taking your philosophy class, and I don't know if you do this, why do I say philosophy? Psychology. I'm stuck on philosophy. If I'm taking your psychology class, let's say we're doing an introduction to dreams and we're learning about Carl Jung. and we have a reading assignment. Let's say you have an assignment where you want me to create a dream journal that you want me to submit to your class. However, if I have a problem with it, I can just sit here and easily say, Professor Selden, I'm having a problem with 4.2. And there's no confusion as far as what that item is. Automatically, you know, 4.2, that's module 4, item number 2, that's the dream journal assignment. Another reason why we sit there and say this, we encourage this numbering convention, is for communication with us. So Gloria, if you are working in your course shell, and let's say you have a problem with a discussion, you're trying to create a discussion and for some reason it's not working the way you want to. When you email me, you would sit there and say, Chris, can you go into my Math 101 course and take a look at 4.5? I do not have to think about how your course is designed. I automatically know when you tell me to go to 4.5, I automatically know to go to module 4, item number 5. And why do I sit there and say this? Because I've sat there and heard so many instructors will sit there and tell me in the past, they'll sit there and say, hey, Chris, can you go to my quiz 10 course, or I quiz 10 and look at quiz 10 and because I can't get it to work. And then I'll open their course and I'll see 15 quiz 10s there. And I will have no idea what they're actually looking at. And it takes me a lot longer. The longer it takes me to figure out the item that you're actually referring to, the lot longer it's going to take to get your problem resolved. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, so that's why we have that there. And we have these items there that take you on the path. And then notice within this module, we have certain conventions here. We talk about an item that you need to read. You need to read. There's a graded discussion. These are items are here in parentheses that allow you to tell the student visually what needs to be done. So as a student, all I need to do is go, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7, 8 items to read. I have 2 discussions I have to complete, and I have a graded assignment to submit. And it gives the student a very clear and distinct way on what they need to do to complete this module. Now, let's take a look at the assignments. Notice we have 4.0, 4.1. We have a graded assignment here, 4.8. We have module 6. They have all these different modules. So all of these things are organized in a specific way. Let's go to the assignment section now. Let's take a look at these assignments. And Bonnie, I want to sit there and point this out to you. Looking at this assignments and how these are organized. Notice how these are organized. This is module 1.9, 2.11, 4.8, 5.6. We go to 6.3. And then notice also within the assignments. So let's look at the navigation made easy. That's module 5 under item 6. If I go into the module section here, and I go to module 5, you will see how big this is. And there's the navigation made easy assignment. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 items that need to be addressed before you actually get to this graded assignment. Those items aren't here. So when a student clicks on the assignments and they see this, and you notice that it's not organized in any specific fashion, and also notice that there are other reading materials and other content resources that they need in order to complete this actual assignment, it can get confusing. And so that's why we recommend going through the modules, because you can create your modules in such a way that you guide the students on what they need to know. So by the time that they actually get to that 5.6 assignment or whatever that assignment you have, they won't have an issue in completing that. Does that make sense, Bonnie?
Yes, and that's not what I do at all.
That's a common practice. And what we sit there and say and notice is that when I sit here and explain this, we're talking about a broad overview, a macro perspective on the entire district. Of course, individual faculty might have different workflows, but since it's hard for us to cover, since even with only 3 people in this workshop, everybody has different practices and everything else. And so we're taking the entire district into account and covering the best practices overall. So there are certain
yes, in spring 2020,
Mhm.
I took a lot of classes from Dave Giberson,
Mhm.
And essentially, he said, put everything in modules. So I list everything out by week 1, week 2, week 3, etc.
Right,
And for each week, I have a date and then the reading assignment. And if there's a writing assignment, do what the writing assignment is.
right.
I don't use any numbers.
That,
Should I be using numbers?
well, we only do this, and I'll sit there and see another reason why I sit there and do this and recommend all of this. Let's go to pages here. Pages is another thing I don't recommend including. This is only for your internal purposes. If I click on view all pages, if you're taking this course, you would be confused as far as any of this means. So I recommend the numbers here. One of the first things I recommended why I include numbers in the beginning here is for organizational purposes and for your own sanity. Because there will be a time in the future when you will want to redesign your course. It will happen. And if these numbers weren't here, 1.0, 1.1, I would have no idea on where these items belong. And we've kind of encouraged this based on when we actually migrated faculty members over from Blackboard to Canvas. And when faculty members were migrating their content, none of their stuff was labeled. So as we were trying to recreate that content within Canvas, we didn't know where any of that information belonged. So we encourage these numbers, not only for communication bonding, because like I said, I can't tell you how many times when a faculty member's told me to go, hey, Chris, can you go ahead and take a look at my quiz 10 and I'll see 15 quiz 10s in the course and not know. But if you number the item that you're actually using in your course, you can sit there and say, hey, Chris, can you look at 2.13? And I don't have to sit there and think about how your course is designed. I can just sit there and go into module 2 and look at item number 13. But for you, when you're looking at this course later on down, 6 months down the road, 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, trust me, you are going to want to use these numbers in front of these because it's going to make you a lot easier on how you organize your course. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree. I've had trouble with that. Thank you. Great.
Another thing, we do not recommend files. Files is only for your use only. That's the other one that I sat there and said, don't include this for students. This is for your only use to upload your course documents into your course. Do not show this to students. And then the same thing with quizzes and discussions. You'll notice here too, these are not organized in any specific fashion. There is a lot of content that's required here for students to partake in before they can actually take quizzes. It will only confuse them even more. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of just having a simplified home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades. That is all you need in your course. None of this stuff is necessary. Do we have any questions on that? And it is amazing how much time can go by because it feels like I've been talking for 5 minutes and it's already 3:40 and there's still a lot more that I have to cover. So we're going to try to get through this most we can. And if you're not obligated on any time, we're not obligated to a 4 o'clock hour. So I'll make sure and get through all of this and answer all your questions. Moving on, we're going to talk about the homepage, and I'm going to delete this module content here. Let me delete a couple things. Now, there are a lot of technical things that I'm going to have to skip over. Hopefully, the principles in what I'm showing are going to make sense. If at any point in time you would like to ask more questions and get a more detailed guidance on some of the things that I've done in this course, send me an email and I will be more than happy to schedule a one-on-one Zoom session with you so that we can go over anything that I'm not able to cover because we got a short amount of time and I still got a lot of content to cover. Okay, let's focus on the next thing that we want to do is set up the home page, because the home page is a critical part that will make or break your course outside of the importance of the navigation and the modules. And the very first thing that we want to do is have your announcements this announcements appear on the homepage. Because the announcements is a great way for you, the instructor, to communicate with your students, to give them a heads up on the assignments and the things that they need to turn in with upcoming deadlines and stuff. And I can't tell you, my coworker, Peter T. and I, we did an overview workshop for other faculty members last Monday, I believe it was the 23rd. And we had several instructors talk about how students are making excuses and saying they can't read, they didn't get the announcements, they didn't get the announcement information and everything else. And so we want to put the announcements clear as day on the homepage so that students will not have that excuse and they will always see the announcements when they go to your homepage. So let's do that real quickly. So in the course menu, I'm going to go to settings. And on the course details tab, I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Let me move a window here. And I'm going to click on more options. I'm going to click on show recent announcements on the course homepage. The checkbox right here. And it says the number of announcements shown on homepage. I'm going to click the drop-down menu and I'm going to say 3 because that's all you really need. And then at the bottom right-hand corner here, I'm going to say update course details. Course details to save those changes. So now when I go on the homepage, the announcement appears right here. So I can go in the announcements and they'll just say homework assignments, homework assignments. It's due Friday. I'll make my announcement there. And then you can see it posts on the homepage, right? So this is a great way, and there's a great way for you to communicate with your students, and there's no excuse for the students. Say, Professor Selden, I didn't see the announcement. Well, the announcement's right on the homepage. They can actually see it.
Yeah, it's a good feature.
Another, is there
Chris,
yes.
can I ask, so on the announcements, can you go back to the announcement page?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I taught a class, two classes, same course.
Right.
And when I went down to the bottom, I thought I could put in the CRN numbers for both of them. And it couldn't work. And I'm not, I don't know. Is it because I'm in a different course? I mean, I'm doing the same course, but I'm in a different, and I didn't even realize that until someone else told me. And it was something down the bottom of it that seemed like it gave the impression that you could do it.
So we're going through the creation of it. We have.
Okay, so where it says right there, all sections, that was misleading.
So let me ask you this. So you had, so make sure, so you just said you're teaching 2 courses, 2 different,
Mhm.
but it's the same content, correct?
Same place, I'm at City, I wasn't at Miramar, I was at City.
Right.
It just seemed like it made sense to me. But I guess, because if you go to the section, I was
Right.
assuming that it would go over here and the other one would go over there. And it didn't. And the other thing was, when I first started, I didn't even know where to, okay, let's say I'm just doing that one section.
Right.
I couldn't find out where did I send it to? Where do I push a button to make it go to the students?
Well, once I set there's no students in this course, but this
Right.
homework assignment, once I set publish, it will automatically go to the students based on their.
If you do what?
So I create an let me create another announcement.
Okay.
So I'm going to go through the whole entire process. One thing I want to sit here and say in specifically before I do the announcement thing. So in your instance, you're teaching 2 courses. What do you teach, Gloria?
Child development.
Okay, you're teaching child development. let's say you're teaching child development A on Monday, and then you're teaching child development B on Wednesday. But it's the same class, it's the same content, it's the same information that needs to go to both students.
Mhm.
There is a concept called cross-listing. It's in Blackboard, we called it merging courses. In Canvas, they call it cross-listing, where you can merge two sections of enrollments together. You do that at the beginning of the semester when your course shells are empty. You can do that by calling Canvas support at,
Okay.
at this number and requesting your cross list. So you would sit there and say, I have two courses I want to cross list. You would give them the 5-digit section numbers, right? The course numbers. And then you say, I want this one to be a priority. So let's say for Monday, your child development course A is the course numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then E course is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, let's just say. That was the second one. And you want to cross list them, merge them together, and you want the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be your primary course. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, once you do that, both enrollments will be in one shell, and then you can create
Okay.
an announcement and it will go to both students. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure.
What I want you to do,
I mean, it would make sense, but I thought what I was doing made sense because it said all sections,
right?
you know,
but
so I
the problem
thought that
is
was
when
just
I don't
how
have
it
a course-
merges.
Right, and when I have a course here, let me see.
Uh-huh.
Let me see if I can go into a course here real quickly. I'm gonna see. I'm just opening up a quick course so we can answer Gloria's question here. Oh, that was canceled. What was the other one? Oh, let's just go to this instructor. We know this instructor. So I'm just picking an instructor right now, and we're going into spring course. So spring, so we have a city math course, Math 252, 25103. When I go into settings and I go into sections, there's only
Mhm.
one section here.
Oh, uh-huh.
So in theory, you're correct. If that other section was here, to get that other section here, so let's say this instructor had 25105. Right?
Mhm.
That section would need to be under this list for what you want to do to be correct. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The only
Mhm.
reason why you can't do that with the other section because it's not listed here. And to get it listed here, you need to cross-list your courses.
Right, right. Yeah, I think what I did too, then I thought I put both of them in it or something. It just didn't work out. That was just one of those things. And I didn't know it till one of my friends, I realized that it didn't go. And then one of my friends told me, oh, you have to do them separately. And the other thing about that announcement thing was, to this day, I have to think about or look where it is that I'm actually pushing the thing to go to the students.
Perfect.
I mean, it doesn't say, you know, like enter and, you know, and do all of that. It's just these little things at the bottom or on the side that it's just a time thing for me. You know, I just want to see it. I did it. I want to get it to the students and I'm pushing the buttons. Oh, which one of these is the go-to button?
Well, keep in mind, the solution is to cross-list your courses, send me an email and I can walk you through that more. And if you have any more questions on the announcement
Sure.
process,
Mhm.
send me an email and I will more than happy to go through with a 1-hour Zoom session on you. But let's get back on
Okay.
track here. So,
I have
On the-
I have a question about announcements.
yes,
Well, how long do they last on the homepage? Are they permanent?
they will go for every 3. So as you know, I had the quick announcement here. It will only post the 3 most recent announcements
But how long will it stay?
for as long as it'll stay for as long as you don't make announce. So if I make another announcement here, so let's make another one. So how long will this quick announcement stay on the homepage? That's So I'm going to make another announcement.
So it
And-
stays for as long as there are only 3 slots.
Right, so I made one announcement. So Gloria, also to answer your question here, so once I make another announcement and I click publish, there is a notification that automatically goes to students.
It goes there. Yeah, okay. Because I was looking all up there and publish. I didn't know what that meant because
As soon as you
publish.
Publish, it makes it available in your course. And then
Yeah.
your students.
Thank you.
So we see home. So now we have 3 announcements here. I'm going to make one more. Let's just say final. We're going to make a final exam announcement. Final exam is due Monday. Click publish. And then I go home. And now, Frederick, do you see that quick announcement is no longer there?
Mhm.
So that's how long. It will only go, the more you can make, every announcement you do will push the subsequent ones down further.
Are the students notified in some other way besides it being posted on the home?
Email. So when you go, let's talk about notifications real quick. When we talk about announcements and everything else, you see in the global navigation right under the district logo, there's the account with my face.
Yeah,
When I click on here and I see notifications, I click on notifications. You have notifications. They can do this globally, or it could be for a specific course. You can do it for a specific course. We're going to do globally. You see here where it says my my default email address. That's my email address. And you see where it says announcement. By default, I'm going to get notified immediately on that. So if this is turned on, the moment I hit the publish button, it's going to send a notification to my email address that an announcement was created. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Mhm.
but and also to the students.
Right. Yeah,
Because
it'll send to the student.
do they have to turn it on themselves? Do they have to?
By default, it will be on, but you can't help but if they could change this. So the options are notify immediately, get a daily summary. So if it was a daily summary for all accounts, it would give me a daily summary at the end of the day of all the announcements in all the courses that I'm taking as a student. If I said weekly summary, it would give me a weekly summary of all the announcements in all the courses that I'm enrolled in as a student, or I could turn it off. So if you as an instructor make your announcements very important, this is something that you might want to point to your students out in your syllabus, that it's highly recommended, leave notify immediately on your announcements so they can get an email notification.
Mhm. Very good.
Perfect. All right, let's move on.
I'm learning that I know very little about what I should know.
That's where we're trying to go. I'm trying to give you all the top level things that can be beneficial to you. So
Well,
let's
I think I need more than an hour.
Well, this will get you started. And like I said, with each one of you, if you want to sit here and work with me and schedule a one-on-one, 1 hour Zoom session on anything and go into further details on anything I've covered in this recording, be more than happy to help.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Right, yeah.
So we want to set up our homepage, because really when we go to a homepage, and this is the very first thing we see, so we always check with our student view, we always see there's really not much here other than announcements and everything else. And so what we recommend doing is using what we call is a pages front page. And all that is, now I don't have, like I said, we're coming up on the 4 o'clock hour here. I want to try to get through this as quick as I can. All that is just creating a page. And I have a template of this that I could send you if you want, that has this information. How do we get this in here? Well, I'm just going to click on home. And I'm going to go choose home page. I'm going to say pages front page. And I'll say save. It'll be there. Now, keep in mind, there is a lot of other information that you are not privy to due to the time of this course that got me to this point in creation of this page. So again, if you want to learn more about this, we can do a Zoom session on our own. But the point about this, the reason why I want to sit there and say, this is the reason why I want to sit there and say the importance of having something like this as the front page of your course. Because I want to establish context here. Have you ever heard of the term content is king?
Mhm.
I personally disagree with that. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I sit there and say context is king. Why do I say context is king? Because this thing right here, this phone, this screen separates me from you. As an instructor, Gloria, you teach child development. And if we were in a classroom together, for someone that can't even take care of himself, knows very little on how to take care of a child or change a diaper or anything else for that matter, whatever is required for that. Your job is to establish context on the proper development of a child. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And if I get off track,
Mhm.
context you've established, your job as the instructor is to bring me back on track to the context that you feel is important for me to understand what child development is all about, correct?
Correct.
Now, we
Mhm.
do that in the classroom, face to face, but we fail to do that online because we naturally assume that your thought process is going to align with mine, and it's totally different. That goes the same as far as reverse. I have more experience with Canvas. You are a beginner. So I can't assume that you're going to have the mental models that I have in operating this application. If I assume that, I am not going to be an effective teacher in teaching you what you need to know. And the same with you. If you assume that I have the same mental models or that same context that I have with child development, you're not going to be an effective teacher with me, right? So when we go into our course, don't make any assumptions. And we have an introduction here, and it's a simple one that not only establishes context, but it also allows you to humanize yourself within your course. So basically, this is just a template. It just sits there and says, hello, I'm your instructor, Jane Doe. Together, we'll be studying medical language, including fundamental concepts, basic terms, word parts, and specialty items, using prefixes, word roots, combining forms, and suffixes. She establishes context right here, okay? She invites them to use the conversations inbox and creates a tutorial anytime they have questions on their course, and then offers a warm greeting. And then finally, she gives a description about what the course is. And this is from the actual schedule on medical terminology. And so outside of the technical application and how to create this page, the main thing that I want you to get here is use your homepage to establish context for the course, and then also establishing humanizing, providing a little introduction with yourself and who you are, along with easy ways to get started. So to get started, take a moment to review the course syllabus. If I click on this, it'll take me to the course syllabus. Or if I click on this, it will go to the modules section. I also include quick buttons. Again, using the syllabus, modules, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades. Those only 4 items are the only things that you need in the course. You click on any one of these, it gives you quick navigation and access to the actual course. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Perfect. All right.
How
Now,
do we create the buttons?
the buttons were created via a Canvas template. And I can send that to you after that template. If time permits, I'll show you how you could import this into your course. Or again, we can do that on a one-on-one Zoom session.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving
Is
forward.
that the same as when you do the rubrics?
What do you mean?
I mean, do you have to do I mean, it's in columns and rows. Is the
Buttons?
rubric, excuse me?
No, continue.
When you do the rubrics, right?
Right.
It's different levels. And so it's like a grid.
Right.
So is that the same as I was just thinking, is that the same as doing these announcements and syllabus? It comes, that's the way it comes. And if you're doing a rubric, is it already something that's a grid and you're typing in it to say this is yes, no, maybe so? Or is it lines that we have to create? Does
Those
that
are
make
lines
sense?
that you have to create. Now, rubrics go beyond, I mean, rubrics are a little more advanced and go beyond the scope of this course. But to give you an actual example of what those are, so if I were to, I'm going to quickly go into, let's go into the assignment. Let me just open up an assignment here. I'm trying to find one. Let's do create a module assignment.
Uh-huh.
So we have a rubric here.
Rubric. Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Manually
So,
create.
okay, so it's there. I mean, it's because you're not doing it all the time.
I manually created this.
Oh, okay, okay.
I wrote up the criteria and then I wrote up the ratings that I would give on this assignment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So why couldn't the district do a rubric outline? I mean, you know, not with the stuff in it, with the outline, the lines. Why wouldn't that be?
That's not dependent on the district. That's dependent on your department and the student learning outcomes that you create. And also it's dependent, every instructor teaches differently with academic freedom.
No, I'm not talking about the information in it. I'm talking about, I mean, how am I going to recreate the outline of the rubric and box 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know?
You
Do
develop
we
your
have to
own
create that
criteria.
ourselves?
There's
You would
outcomes.
you would develop your own criteria.
Right. Time to go. Okay, that's fine.
Right, going back to here. So we have the home page. This is here. We have that established. Let's go back to the syllabus. I want to go back to the syllabus. Syllabus is
Okay.
most important part of your course. And again, I'm establishing context here. So I give you an overview that gives you below is a copy of let me just read this quickly. It says below is a copy of the syllabus of your course. Make sure you download a copy of the syllabus. I give you instructions on how to do it and review it in detail. This syllabus is the foundation for this course and should be referred to on an ongoing basis. I also talk about the course summary. I refer to the course summary down below, and they'll give you a summary, and I'll show you a different course. Well, it shows the course summary with a different outline. And then I also give my instructor communication policy. You could either email me. If I have a phone number, I would enter that in, but it's not a requirement. Your instructor communication policy is based on you and what you feel is relevant to you. So you include what information you want. And then I just sit there and say, I will respond to any inquiries within 2 business days. Any inquiries sent over the weekend or holiday will be addressed with the following business day. And then I give you some links to go back to the homepage and then module 1. But the most important part is the course syllabus. So we have a link here that I want to link to display the syllabus. So I'm going to click edit here. And I'm going to highlight this syllabus. And then I'm going to click on course documents. Again, don't be too concerned about the technical side of this. We can do more technical workshops later on down the road. Just understand the principle of what I'm trying to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So once I do link options, I say preview inline and expand preview by default. And you'll see why here in a second. Once I do that, I'm going to say update syllabus. And automatically the syllabus comes up. Okay, let me show you a finished syllabus in our actual online faculty certification program. So going in the OLP, if I click on syllabus, you sit there, I establish the context. We have our communication policy, and then we have the syllabus. It's not displayed here, but you kind of get the idea. The point of the matter is you have your the assignments here. And if deadline in this course, there's no deadlines here, but if there were, the dates would appear in this listing right here. So you would get the date and then when the assignments due. But here's the reason why I sit here and say this. Again, remember when I told you about the announcements and other instructors were complaining that students weren't getting the announcements and they weren't seeing it? Well, the instructors didn't have their announcements on their homepage, number one. Number two, you have, I'm sure if you've heard students talk about, well, I didn't get the syllabus, or I didn't sit there and see this, or I didn't sit there and see that. You try to make some excuse. Your syllabus is kind of like the foundation, the law of the land. How this course operates is listed here. And it's listed in your syllabus. It has the context of the course. It has your instructor communication policy. You know, Frederick, when you talked about the announcements and the importance of reading those announcements with the communication policy here, that's something that you might want to add here to your students. So that later on down the road, if Chris Rodgers comes up to Professor Selden and says, oh, I didn't see that, or I didn't read that, or anything else, and he's like, well, that's no excuse because I listed it in the syllabus, right?
Yeah.
So again, you don't want to make assumptions on the student. You want to be as clear and crystal clear about your course and the rules and the lay of the land as far as how you want your course to operate. It'll be in the syllabus section. So if the student fails to follow through with what's outlined, it's not on you because you've already made that communication clear in the syllabus section. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Mhm.
Perfect.
I have to run.
You have to take off? Okay. So I have one more in my lesson. I have the module section that I wanted to go over and how to properly set up modules.
Yeah.
Gloria
do
and
that
Bonnie, if you want, I can continue on if I have no problems continuing on if you're willing to stay.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I'm
perfect.
here. I'm good. Mhm.
And Frederick, don't worry. I have this recorded. I will send this to you and you won't
Okay.
miss the thing.
I'm gonna follow up with you as well.
Perfect. Please do, Frederick. It was nice meeting you and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
So we got actually two items to take care of. One is modules, and then we're going to copy what we've created in our development shell, and I'm going to copy it into a pretend official course. Now, in practice, again, you might have your own workflow. I know, Bonnie, you have your own workflow. But in practice, when you're developing your course content and you're developing your modules, I always say here and say, stay out of Canvas. In the beginning, because as you're learning Canvas with the learning curve that you have with Canvas, so many instructors, without having a clear roadmap on what their modules will be, make it a lot harder when they're working in Canvas, right? It's kind of like I use the analogy of if we're building a house and if the carpenter comes with his team and does not provide me a blueprint on what that house is going to be, I'm going to be very concerned as far as the type of house that they're going to build for me. So the point that I'm trying to make is I'm in Microsoft Word right now. And when you're building out your modules, you want to do an outline first and kind of create that blueprint that you will use when you go to Canvas so you're not going in blind. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And,
Yes.
and basically what we have here, I'm just doing module 1. And, you know, Bonnie, I know you use week 1, so you could use module 1, week 1, whatever it is, doesn't matter. This is just a naming convention that we want to sit there and more of an emphasis that we want to sit there and have the importance of the modules. So when you're creating a good module, it has a clear title, module 1, introducing Canvas. We do the titles or the numbering convention of explaining the importance of that. You give a simple title of the content item, and then I give direction on what the student needs to do. And this also helps me too, because when I sit here and I create this, I know this is a content page I need to create. I know this is an assignment I need to create. I know this is a quiz that I need to create, and I know this is a discussion. So this roadmap gives me a very easy model in how I work with Canvas. And also in doing this, I'm also going to show you why the modules from the instructor point of view is the only place that you need to work in. You do not need to work in quizzes, discussions, pages, and all these other items here just to confuse your experience. You can do all of your work in modules and not touch any of those items that I touched base on before in the past. So now that I created my module, let's replicate this quickly in Canvas and show you how easy it is. So I'm in modules right now. I'm going to click on module. And I'm just going to copy module 1, introduce, just copy and paste. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it. Module 1, introducing Canvas. Okay. And then I'm going to go into module 1. I'm going to copy here, module 1 overview, read. So this is telling me I need to create a content page. So when I go in here now, I'm going to create, so when I'm creating content for this module, over to the right-hand side, I'm going to click on this plus button. And you see a drop-down menu that says add an assignment to module 1, introducing Canvas. I do not want to add as an assignment. Remember, I want to create a page. I can't tell you how many times instructors don't understand the difference between content items here, and they create the wrong content item for what they're trying to create. So I'm going to say page, and I'm going to say create page, and then I'm just going to copy and paste the title there. So now it says 1.0 module 1 overview. Let's do it again. So I'm going to do Canvas face-to-face, copy, plus page. I already have the page created or selected, so all I just need to do is delete this. Do that. We'll do another one. So I'm going to create another page. So add page. I always want to make sure I want to create a page. And then I just need to delete this and paste this in. This is how easy this is. So now I have 3 items I need to read, or 3 items to read that have been created. And now we have an assignment. Now there's one thing about assignments and anything that a student needs to participate in for a grade. I kind of set it up differently, and I'll show you what I mean. So now I do not want to add a page. I want to add an assignment. I'm going to create an assignment, and I'm going to paste that in. Now I'm going to indent it by 1 level. So anything that a student needs to read is flush left. Anything that a student needs to act upon and submit for a grade is indented by 1. And you'll see how that looks in a second. So I'm just going to come back. It's just the process of copying and pasting. And when you watch this recording back and you watch how this is done, you'll realize how easy it is just to work in the module section and not need any other option in Canvas. So that's indented by 1. So we have a quiz, graded quiz. So that's no longer an assignment. Well, I clicked module by accident. I'm going to click the plus button here. So I'm going to select quiz. So add quiz, create quiz. I'm going to select that. I want to make sure it's indented by 1 level. I'm going to, first impressions is a discussion. I'm going to create the topic, and I'm just going to copy and paste it right here. It's indented by 1 level. And then the very last item is the module 1 summary. Copy. And then that was an item that I need to read. So I'm going to create a new page. And then I'm just going to say right there. And that one's not indented. So I'm going to decrease the indent. Now I have all of this mapped out, right? Do you see how easy this is to read? So I go visually, I know that flush left, these are the items I need to read. These are the items I need to act upon. And then these are the module 1 that I need to work on or read. So it gives it, it's a visual overview to give the student a clear idea on what's expected of them in any previous module. And now we don't have time for the context of this, but as an instructor, once this is set out, then you can go in and click on your module overview. You can click edit, and then you can create your content that way, and then click next. And then you can click edit, and then go ahead and create your content. So by laying out your modules in this fashion, it gives you a clear-cut way on how to not only create your content, give a clear roadmap of what the students need to do, And it's going to be really easy for you to fill all this information out on your own. One last thing, and then I'll open it for questions. The notion of publishing items, it's an important distinction to make. You'll notice here over on the right-hand side, you'll see, I call it the no smoking sign. These items are not published. This module is not published. Now, instructors, what they'll get confused when they're new to Canvas, they'll have these items here, they'll publish it. And then they'll get confused as to why they're not seeing it. So if I were to go into the student view again up in the right-hand corner, you notice I don't see modules here in the left-hand side because even though those pages, those content items are published, the module itself is not published. That is something you want to pay attention to. So going to the Leave Student View item here, let's go back to the modules section. You see in module 1, introducing Canvas, up at the very top, there's that no smoking sign again. It's not published. That's why students weren't seeing it. So I'm going to publish it now. And by doing this, if I was to just click this button right now, all of the items within the module would be published. I wouldn't need to click on these items individually. So if I go into student view now you see the whole modules. They're all published and ready to go. Are there any questions on modules in that process?
I have a question.
Yes.
Do I need to be in Microsoft Word in order to cut and paste?
You work in any word processing application that you feel comfortable with. If you use Google Drive, Google Docs, use Google Docs. When you're creating your outlines for your courses, you can even do it on paper if you wanted to. And then you'd have to retype it in, but you use whatever word processing application that you feel comfortable with. Does that help?
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I've actually never cut and pasted before.
So this is a way, now this is to assume, and I should have context here, is when I'm sitting here and working on this, when we talk about the idea here is if you have started off with a brand new course, I'm treating it as a brand new course design. Bonnie, it sounds like you already have a course already created. So with the course content that you already have created, you probably wouldn't need this right now. However, if you were to create a brand new course, you're teaching something. What do you teach, Bonnie?
I teach English. I'm teaching pro rata, so I teach one course of English composition.
Okay, so English composition, let's assume it's an English Basic 101 course. Let's say later on, you get an assignment and you want to teach, and you're teaching an English 200, which is the next level up, and it's a brand new course and you have to design it from scratch. This is when you would use your course outline. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
This is only for new courses, because I'm kind of, like I said, while I mentioned before, everyone is at a different stage in their course development experience with Canvas. We're trying to give a broad overview for the entire district on the best practices overall. And there are some things that I've emphasized that I think are important for all instructors, like the navigation. That is something that applies to all instructors that you should have. Only having the home announcement syllabus modules grades, and then having the modules be the central location of your course. I encourage the numbering system, the parentheses, adding context to your items, adding context to your homepage, adding context to your syllabus. Those are some of the principles that I wanted to kind of hopefully pass on in this workshop. Otherwise, the other workflow that you have, if what you're doing is working for you, then continue doing that. I just hope that some things here will be beneficial to your workflow. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. I've been asking a mentor in the MOST program for help, and she suggested cleaning up my Canvas course
Okay.
to make it more readable. So I may not be able to do that entirely this semester, but these tips are very helpful, and I'm also enrolled in the course. certification course.
Yeah, and I
Oh.
recommend if, I recommend if you have, like, if you haven't taken the online faculty certification program, I definitely recommend taking that.
I took it.
I definitely recommend taking that, and you can email Peter T. I'll give you Peter T's information here in a second. Hello, Professor Long.
Yeah, I almost forgot about it. I see it's being recorded, which is good. But
Yeah,
I
Hi, Don.
had one other project and I was in the middle of it. I said, God, it's after 3 o'clock.
Unfortunately, we're coming up on the end of the workshop right now. I just
Yeah.
have one thing to teach Gloria and Barbara, and then we're done. And then I'll probably leave it open for about questions for the next 10 minutes. So we'll probably about 4:45 is probably when we'll officially end it.
Okay, it's recorded, so I'll try to get the tape, look at it later.
Donald, what I want you to do,
Go ahead.
my email address is crodgers@sdccd.edu.
C. Rodgers, okay.
Please email me for a request for the recording. And
Okay,
send-
I'll do that. Okay, I'll do it.
Perfect. Okay, great. So you're more than welcome to stay and hang out. I have one thing they'll record. You probably won't make much sense to you considering the context of what we've covered already, but you're more than welcome to stay. And then, like I said, I'll open it up for about 10 questions.
Okay, okay. I'll just email you and get the tape.
Roger that. Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
You take care.
Thank you.
Gloria and Barbara, we have one last thing to cover, and then we're done. And so the idea in theory, now, this is one thing as always a practice. I always sit there and say, adopt a development shell practice with all of your stuff and have backups of all your courses. I never recommend doing course design in the official course. So hypothetically, I'm in my development shell, and let's pretend that this is a finished course. It's ready to go, and I want to copy it over to my official course shell that I'm going to teach. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to go into my dashboard, and I'm going to say, I have this example course here, this Flex demo course. This is what your official courses would look like. It would say spring 20. You'll have your, you'll have the semester number. You'll have, for example, English, and then it'll say the campus you work for. So it might be Mesa, and then you have English 101, and then it would have the section number. And this is, as you can see, this is a completely blank course. So the challenge is, how do I get what I created in this shell, the D shell C Rodgers, this into the official course? It's quite easy. Doing this, I click on settings. Over on the right-hand side, I'm going to say import course content. Import course content. In the content type menu, I'm going to select copy a Canvas course. So I'll repeat that again. So I am in my official course shell. As you can see here, 2233 OLP Flex Demo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the course menu, I click on settings, and then I say cancel. I say import course content. And then for the content type, I'm going to say copy a Canvas course. It's going to say search for a course name. I already know what the name of the course is. So I'm going to say D Shell C Rodgers. I'm going to select that. And once that's done, I'm just going to say all content. And then I'm just going to say import. And it's going to queue under current jobs. It's going to say queue. It's a small course, so it's going to be relatively easy to permit. And then it's completed. It's that simple. So once I go home, notice how everything's changed now. I'm in a different course. The course menu, home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades. All of my announcements came in, my home page, my syllabus, modules, everything came in. And then if I wanted to, I could click publish on this course and I'm ready to teach it. And that's basically it as far as I wanted to try to do the basic idea of how to properly set up a course from beginning to end. I know we covered a lot. I hope that, did you find this information valuable, Gloria?
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Um,
Because I
what?
usually have somebody else do it for me. So, yeah, yeah, from
Okay.
Mesa College, they're good.
Well, yeah, Katie Palacios, everyone at the Mesa Loft, they're fantastic. They are a great resource.
She used to be at City with us and then she moved.
Yeah.
She's a really wonderful person. She really is.
Well, that concludes this workshop. I'm going to email you, Gloria, and the other attendees, a feedback or post survey form that I highly encourage for you to fill out, because that helps us improve these workshops. And then again, unless there's any other questions that you want me to ask, like I said, got about 15 minutes if you want to hang on. I don't know if you have any other responsibilities that you have to take care of. Otherwise, again, like I said, send me an email. You have my email address, and then I would be more than happy to do a one-on-one for anything specific. Like, if you wanted to go deeper into rubrics later on, I would be more than happy to work with you on that.
So when are you going to be doing some others of this? I mean, would you be doing it?
Well, there's different people in our department that have been doing it. There's Trenton Tidwell, myself, and Peter T. are the three within our department that are going to be conducting these workshops. And we're going to do them pretty much on an as-need basis. We're going to sit here and work with faculty throughout the district, kind of figure out what are some of the bigger needs are. And then throughout the time, keep a look. When we look at our SDCCD Online, there is a calendar here that you want to pay attention to, and that we update constantly. That's going to have all of the workshops that we're going to be offering through the Online Learning Pathways department.
Okay.
But
Okay.
again, don't sit here and wait on this training calendar. I mean, yes, I encourage it, but dependent on this, if you have anything that you need specific to you that you want to learn, go ahead and here is our, on the contacts page, this is us. Brian Weston's the dean of our department. You have myself, again, you have my email address. Trenton Tidwell is the other instructional design coordinator. His email address is here. And then Peter T, he's our project analyst. He conducts workshops as well and one-on-one and training assistance. So you can contact any one of us, email us. More than happy to sit down with you one-on-one, answer any questions, provide any guidance you need with your experience with Canvas. With that, if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. I'm also going to stop the recording as well.